be able to do is I'll then be able to send this back to you that you could download it. And then, if you're like,
Go
oh,
back.
wait, yeah, you could watch it and
Awesome.
learn a little
Okay.
bit. And also right there on that dashboard, since you've already been in, click on that welcome screen. You'll also see I'll add an extra link to the notes here on the left. I'll add like our training guide that I use as sort of my walkthrough list.
Okay.
I'll add a link to that over here on the left too. So all the basics about the new platform will be contained in there. And you also have our support links.
Okay.
I'll update your sales rep too. I see we still have it listed as John Smith, but I'll update that. I know who your account rep is. And you'll see the support emails up in that blue box.
Okay.
The only other thing, and I'm going to mention it now because you may get to the end of this and go, wow, I like this new site so much better. I want that one to be our live site, because that's what happened with a couple of the other schools. Well, if that's the case, then most likely you have to go through Holly. She's the one who controls your domain DNS, and I think she's out of town right now.
She is until the 6th. So when I want it to go live, I go through Holly.
Yeah, what you'll do is you'll pick a date and time, and then what you'll want to do is send Holly an email and CC me and just say like, hey, are you two available for this date and time for go live? Because what we need to do is she needs to first be available. If she's not available, then there's nothing we can do.
Okay.
She needs to be available to throw the switch, as I call it, and it literally
Right.
is her punching in that new IP that's down in the left-hand corner where it says your DNS records. We've
Right.
already listed the IP, and she already knows it. But once we know she can confirm a date and time when she would do it for you, or you want it to happen, then what we do is we wait for her to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
then once we see that it's propagated, we do a little sweeping of the floor, as I like to call housekeeping, so that our server now is like, oh yeah, come on in, back the truck up, and then it issues a new SSL security certificate and all that, and we have to do a couple little minor things just to make sure. Plus, we like to know you're doing it so we can babysit it. We'll watch
Right.
to make sure it was done correctly, and if not, I could reach out to Holly. So that would be really the next step after this training, and I just want to get that out there just in case you're like, you know what, I want to go live in 2 weeks or something, because I know you guys have orientation like a month from now, I believe I saw on your calendar.
Yeah.
Goes by so fast.
It does. I know I was walking through the store yesterday and I'm very verbally expressing, no, school supplies, we have 1 month left.
No. All right. Like my daughter's older now, and as a former high school teacher, I don't get as emotional about it anymore. And my daughter is now graduated, so I definitely am like, yeah, I don't have to buy those anymore. Like,
I
so
just don't want to see it.
yeah.
Just
Hey,
not ready to see it.
I won't even second guess you on that one. I can second that emotion. So as we begin in here, you'll see that once you log in,
Mhm.
you land here on the welcome screen, and you can just go ahead, and you probably already did it. You clicked my account to change
Mhm.
the password. I'm just saying it out loud to get it on recording for you, so that if you add any other users, unless Lacie is like the right hand gun of the school, if you're the one who's going to do all of the updates, you might not need anybody. I did notice from Holly there were other people that were using the last website to help, but um,
Yes.
I figured I'd let you add them if they're still relevant. Plus, it'll force them to do the same thing I did for you, where we can put in a basic password for them, and then you can pass along the login link and tell them to click my account and give it a password. If they want to reuse their old password, that's on them. But
Right.
this is a way to not only show you how to manage your users, but hopefully inspire them to use a new password.
So if I wanted to, because we do have someone that one of our administrative assistants handles like the other part of Redeker, like she
Yeah, like
handles
portals,
portal.
Facebook. Yeah.
Right. So we did talk about letting her add some of this because she it's like a middleman, like, hey, she sends me this, can you put this on the website, where she can just go and put it on the website.
Sure. And what I'll say is this though. If she does it as an event on the calendar or as a public announcement through portals,
It'll pop up.
yeah, every
Okay.
hour on the hour, it just runs every hour throughout the day. So basically 24 times during the day, it goes and says, hey, you got any new announcements for me? And if the portal goes, hey, thumbs up, like the fonts, it'll bring it on in. So the cool part is if she doesn't check the public box, if for some reason she doesn't want the announcement to be public, she just doesn't check that single box that says show on login page public, and it won't do it.
Okay.
But you can I would still make her one just in case she's going to update content on a page. But I would say if most of the information she's doing is more timely announcements, then she just makes the announcements in Plus Portals and never really has to touch the website.
Okay. So then, okay. So, but if I did add her, it would be under members.
Yeah, it's exactly where we're going to go next. You read my mind. Let's do that. Let's click on members.
Okay.
And I was really happy to see you guys really only had 2 or 3 people that touched the website. There are some people that have
we don't put too many people. No.
Yeah, I saw one that had 6 to 10 all admins, and then they're constantly pinging that something changed on their website. And I'll show you the same thing I showed them, which is you can go look at a page change log, or even just do a search by last modified, and you can actually see what people have been doing, even the couple users you'll add. But so here you'll see I already added Holly as an admin level.
Okay.
Just at her request, I was putting those on all of them. So if she needs to, she's, if you ever had to say, Holly, I need you to log into the site, she technically can. And right now it's still that default password I sent you. She can log in and then change her own password on this if she ever needed to. She may never. I don't know.
Right.
We could even inactivate her and let her sit off to the side and then if you ever needed to reactivate her, you could. So here, click add.
Okay, I see it.
And hopefully you only do this once or twice now and you'll never need to do it
again.
Yep. So here, the username is usually just a name. Sometimes you use the first part of their email, or you can just put in their first name. It can't have any special characters, so it's just whatever username you're gonna put in there. And one thing I tell people to keep in mind about the username is it's gonna log page changes done by them with that username. So make sure it's something that is identifiable versus, admin at whatever or office at, and if multiple people use it, then there's no real way to know who done it.
Okay. That makes sense.
So I would name it, like if the person's name is Lacie, like I did for you, you can put in Lacie, or you can put in their first initial last name if that works.
Okay. Do you want me to do one?
Yeah, let's do one. Let's add one that will need it. It won't take the space though, just so you know.
Okay. Let me change that up.
Right. You could do an underscore, I believe. Just that.
Let's do that. Okay. And then for password, it'll just generate one?
No, you'll need to give them one. So I would say
just the same. Can I do the same one?
You could do my lame one, yes.
No, I like it. It's easy.
Yeah, and then you can say they'll change it when they get in. So then go to the email address and just punch in his email. Now, Lacie, I have an off-the-cuff question for you. Having worked with Colleen, one of the fellow trainers who lives in Louisiana, and worked with other schools in Louisiana, you don't have a thicker accent.
No, I don't.
Are you not a Louisiana born and bred?
Oh no, born and raised.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. I expected
it will come out like it, but we have a place in Alabama, and when I tend to be here a lot, I start to pick up that accent.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I'm in Michigan, so sometimes I can come out a little Midwest or even Canadian at times, but nothing wrong with that.
Okay, no.
And now, as you fill this in, the most important lesson on making the members is here in the groups.
Okay.
You get a lot more flexibility and control because we've broken your sites out so that the individual sites aren't stepping on each other's toes like they were in the original sort of jumble of sites. So here, you're actually separated so that you don't even have access to see or mingle your files with anybody else's, which I know
Oh, I see what you're saying now. Like
so
when we would go to add files, you could see all the other schools.
yes, and
So we don't
there
see that anymore.
no,
Nice.
there was some benefit to that, but I think it was more cluttered than it needed to be. So in this case, even the users are completely separated. So on this
Okay.
particular case, the top three are really the most important. Now,
Okay.
I'm guessing this person's going to be an admin like you.
Right.
And when you're making a decision, it's always wise to have at least one other admin because you don't want to be the only one. Keep these things in mind. An admin can do what you're doing. An admin can add another user. It can even change another user's password. So, like if you forget your password, then this user would be able to help you out, or vice versa. You can do the same for them. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so you can create, delete, inactivate, change passwords on your members. You
Mm-hmm.
also can edit everything on the front page, all of your files. You can even go into an area that we will show you in a little bit called the configuration area, the Ready Site Advanced Configurations. Only an admin can really access it. So editor quite literally is somebody who's just going to edit content pages. Like they're going to be updating the text on that page, and they can access it, edit it, and publish it without needing your permission. And that's mostly what they would do. So you'd make an editor, they wouldn't be able to make any other users, they wouldn't be able to manage any other users. And then there's a single user, and I use the naked baby example. A single user is like, well, they have a login, but they can't really do anything. They can look around, and the reason that one is there is if you have a need where you have somebody who's like, well, I don't want to make them an editor and then they can edit any page. I want to make them a single user so that in my sitemap, I can actually assign them permissions to a page.
Gotcha.
You might not ever need that, but there is that possibility. And staff is similar to single user. Staff is
Mm-hmm.
just a group name with no permissions. So if you started adding people to the staff group member list, in theory, that's in there so that you could make a page in your sitemap and we could set the view to be visible to staff only if you needed or wanted it to. A little more advanced, but it is possible.
Okay.
Go ahead and click add. And if later you decide to make them an admin, there's no problem. You literally would come back into members, click on their name, and you can actually upgrade their group. As you can see there on the right, it says groups, editors, and you'll see a button that says add group. And you can even change their email or password for them if such time or
Okay.
need was necessary. I will point out at the top, because during this time of year it's sad, but there's a lot of turnover at schools, but at the very top there is a deactivate user and a delete user.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in
Yeah.
Admin Plus, if you're familiar with Admin Plus, we recommend you don't delete courses. I would say the same about users. And the reason you would want to deactivate when they leave and not delete is because if you deactivate them, the logs would still show a history of all of their work for you. Whereas if you delete them, it'll say unknown in the logs because they're no longer on your user list.
Okay.
Okay, just a tip there if this person
So
was
it's kind of like archiving a little bit.
yes, for archiving purposes, you would deactivate. All right, let's head on up to, well, before I go, any questions about creating or managing your own members?
Nope, I got that part.
Cool. Go on into sitemap. It's
Okay.
that second option there. And by the way, as we're navigating this dashboard, the newly designed dashboard,
It's a
you'll note
lot easier to go around through.
agreed. It was heads and tails better. And if you ever lose the dashboard, it's in the upper right corner. It looks like some slide indicators. It's a
Yeah,
dark gray. Yeah.
I see
Click
it.
that. It opens and closes at any time. Also, pretty much anything on that dashboard, you can also get to in the intelligent search right above the word dashboard is a
Right here.
search. That's not like a website search. That's an everything search. Like
Okay.
you start typing in that's searching members, pages, files. It searches everything. So that's another way as a shortcut to jump into something if you need to. So between the
Okay.
dashboard and that intelligent search, that's the best way to get around the website.
Okay.
Now here, the sitemap didn't change too much from 1.0, other than it's going to be a lot cleaner because you don't have to deal with everybody in the same party. It's
Right.
just your stuff. It's still drag and drop. So common question I get on the sitemap is, we need another tab in our navigation. Well, the tabs of pages in your navigation are just pages. So for
Mhm.
example, about SFCS started out as just a page. And then as I added more pages under it, it becomes a tab. So to add a page, it's the same as it was before. You can click on any one of those pages or tabs, and one of the options will be to add page. So go ahead and click on, say, home, for example.
Okay.
Yep, and see the bottom two options say add page or add external link, and there's also a visit at the top. So what is an external link? An external link is if for some reason you're putting an item in your menu that actually isn't on your website. Maybe it's the diocesan website or it's a page somewhere else that you're using,
Mhm.
and you just want it to be nested into your navigation. Very easy to do that. Let's
So
just do,
so I'm just gonna, so if like my librarian created a Google site for the students and she
yes,
wanted to include that, she would add it through there. She can do it
yes.
that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say don't get too carried away with them, but
Right,
I encourage it because that's content that you can link to off your navigation that you're not responsible for.
right.
So she's maintaining that site, you're just linking to it.
Well, it's just a
Ah,
lot of helpful links for the students all in one page.
ah,
So,
well,
yeah.
since you ask that, if you actually, we'll get to that in a second, but there's actually something that didn't exist in the 1.0. In the
Mhm.
dashboard, you'll see an area that says links. So
Uh-huh.
that is an option where you could just put a whole bunch of links to external links, internal files, internal pages, whatever they are. You can collect them into one dashboard area. You can even label them. You could say, "Oh, that's a library link," or that's a quick link, or that's
Okay.
a parent link. That's actually something I'm going to show you because you're going to see it's on your front page. There's something called quick links, a slide out, and actually an
Okay.
area that just shows links. That's what I'm using for that. And we'll come
Okay.
around to that in a second. But first, let's
Sure.
show you how easy it is to make a new page. It hasn't changed much. Just click
Okay.
home again and choose add page. And then I'll
Yeah,
give you
I had gotten a crash course with this
nice.
before, like when I took this position over from the last person. So I didn't get all this from the beginning.
Oh, no, well then you've done a great job because you got a good crash course, but you're going to get a more thorough one on this new platform, which is better anyways. So 99% of the time, just choose page. Those other
Okay.
ones, special ones that you'll never make on your own per se. And when it does, you'll get another pop-up that really the only thing you need to really concern yourself here is the name.
Okay.
For now, you could call this "Hello World." You could say "Delete me." You could say it's Lacey's day at the beach. Whatever you want to call it. We'll delete it when we're done, anyways, because we're just practicing. There you go.
Let me spell it correctly.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna
There
judge.
we go.
I cannot type on a laptop. It is like the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, a Chromebook is even smaller.
Oh yeah, I don't even. I'll shut my mouth. I have my own opinions on Chromebooks, but hey, they've gotten better though. They've gotten
They
really,
have.
but years ago they were the worst. So now if you scroll down, just kind of glance at what you see there.
Okay.
There's not a whole lot that I would say when making a page that you would concern yourself with. It's just telling you, and there's some like extra options, like if for some reason this page is to not show up ever in the navigation, there's some special things. There's even a spot that says content, which to this
Mhm.
day I am proud to say I still have not used. I know what it does. There's
Right.
actually on a page, it comes with a preset content block, and it'll actually, that's a spot where you could fire in some content right now. But I instead do this. At this point, let's play like, as the Texans would say. Let's play like here, as my own boss Teresa would say. Let's play like. We're gonna play like that your site is live. We want
Okay.
to build good habits. You normally at this stage wouldn't just click the publish page button, because if you do, that makes it public down there in the right corner.
Right.
Publish equals public. And
Right.
we don't want that. But next to that is an edit mode. Go ahead and click the edit mode button down there at the bottom. And what that does is it's like flipping the coin, just like clicking on the dashboard slides that out and you're in the dashboard. This flips the coin over. So we were in tails in the dashboard doing things in the back end. We've now flipped the coin and we're on heads. So it makes the page and it politely tells you, annoyingly a little bit, but politely and helpfully says, this page is a draft, which means it's unpublished. It also means that nobody else but Lacie can see it. And the reason you want to do that is because I imagine, at least back when I worked at my school, better part of a decade in a Catholic high school, was you're going to get interrupted when you're working, whether you're on the beach, you're at home, you're in the school, you can start working on something and get interrupted. That's the other reason you want to go into edit mode, because as you work and edit and save, it'll just remain a draft until you publish it. And as a matter of fact, in the upper right-hand corner, there are 2 sheets of paper icon. Go ahead and click it.
Okay. Upper right. 2 sheets. Okay, I see it.
That's a shortcut that does a couple things. Number one, that's another place you can fire off a page. Number 2, you'll notice the page drafts are listed there for you.
Okay.
And your practice page with the date and time, I think we're still on UTC. We may have to update that time zone. When we go live, we usually check the time zone for you anyways, but that's telling you that practice page is sitting there under draft. So if you, like right now, said, oh my goodness, I have to go, and you shut your computer off and had to walk away, next time you log in, you could just click the 2 sheets of paper, and this is the easiest way to see drafts, is they're just right there. And you could just click on it and it brings you right back to the page where you can then begin editing it again. Okay. The third thing it does on this 2 sheets of paper is if you scroll down, it's just a clickable sitemap. It's not like an interactive drag and drop sitemap, but it's just a launch pad that if you wanted to quickly navigate to another particular page, you can. So go ahead and click the 2 sheets again just to exit out of that. I just wanted to show you that so that we can clear up that part of the dashboard. Now, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see we just have a blank page. And this is where, if you like what you've seen so far, wait until you start adding content. It's 10 times, well, that's probably underselling it. It's a lot better. And how you do it is this. The easiest way to start adding content to the blank page is to click the symbol which means to add, which is the plus sign on the left.
Okay, I see it.
And even hover over it, it even tells you, oh, you're going to add content. And when you click it, the menu now opens up as a blocks menu on the left. And that menu will have various blocks of functionalities that we have kind of pre-programmed. And depending on your connection here, it looks like we may have.
There we go.
There it goes. Yeah, it kind of froze for a second on my end too.
Oh, I see it.
Now, it's a searchable. So once you learn the names of the blocks, you'll be able to just search for them. But I would say 9 out of 10 times, the blocks that most people use are the basics, like content, which is why it's first, and image, why it's second. So those are the blocks that get used the most. But at some point when you have time, when you're not at the beach, you could play a little and just drag and drop a couple blocks and just check them out. For today, let's just highlight a couple of them. What you're going to do is click on content and then click and drag down into the left side. Now, as you do this, I want you to notice, as you see if you can scroll down a little with it too. I think it's because our screen's kind of small.
There we go.
Did you notice some areas are blue, some areas are green?
Yes.
Okay, you want green. Empty main, if you're a sports fan, is your goal. That's your end zone, whether it's football or that's where you want to spike the ball for volleyball. It doesn't hurt to put it in anywhere green. So main top, what's the difference? Well, that stretches all the way across and doesn't share space with the sidebar. So I would prefer to put it in main, but no hurt, because you can put it anywhere and then we can move it later. As soon as you drop a block, right? As soon as you drop a block, it's going to open up its user interface so that you can begin doing whatever that block requires you to do, whether it's a button block or an image block. Right. And since this is a text block, this is you putting right. You just got a gold star for infinity because you just did something that I was going to mention. And I'm happy to see that you did it. You didn't just put text. You said this would be the title of the section, but I'm going to go a step further. If that's the title of the section, then what you're going to want to do is either highlight that. I think it'll do it even if your cursor's on the line. And then where it says normal in that toolbar at the top,
you can change it to heading.
Click yes. And I would do heading 2, and here's why. The page name is already heading 1
right
at the top of the page, and then there's your section heading. But let me show you. I want to be like a really cheesy game show host, but wait, there's more. And you did exactly that. Go to styles and look at section headings. Choose one of those two, like heading 1 or heading 2. And now click below or off to the end of your text and then hit enter and watch what it did.
I changed the color.
Yes. Now, that's your first taste of the advanced configurations that are baked into the new system. In the dashboard, where we'll see in a moment, or we're going to talk about these, and then I'll show you where this is controlled. Section heading 1 and 2, we already kind of chose based on your brand colors what we thought would make a good,
right,
in all caps too. We already chose some things like what is the size of H2 and what will section heading do to it if you choose it. You actually do and can control that.
Okay.
You would set it, but it's in the dashboard because it affects every page and every text box where you choose heading 2 and section heading 2.
Gotcha.
It will actually update that across your website. So on the front end, you don't want anybody just choosing any old color, but we've baked in some bonus options where you can sprinkle in your brand colors and whatnot in there. Now go ahead and hit enter. It'll go to a new line, and the style will also reset. And then you can type in more text. Now, the question I get all the time is, can I just paste into this? Sure, but I'm going to put that with a footnote, asterisk, warning, exclamation point, in that if you do paste, please use the plain text paste. So if you're on Chrome, that would be Control-Shift-V. There's even an icon on the toolbar. There's a little clipboard with a T paper on it for plain text. Yes. Yeah. You would want to do Control-Shift-V, sorry. Because Control-V will just paste.
Yeah. Okay.
And the problem with that, of course, is it brings all of the good and bad and the ugly, whatever type of text and color, and it may not look good on the website.
Okay.
So a simple paste looks good there. Now, what else can you do? These content blocks are not only the most basic of block, but it's the most functional one, because you can even see on the toolbar there, you have your normal items like bold, underline, italic. There's even an icon for centering. You can insert an image into this block. You can do bullet points and numbering. You can even do hyperlinks. There's even a little link chain on towards the middle underneath the clipboards. There's a link. You see that? So you could actually,
Okay.
You could highlight some words and then click the link, and it would actually then give you an option of what do you want to link to? Is it an external link? Is it an internal sitemap link? Is it a server to browse our server to the file? What you would never do is never do a click here as a link. That's not my rule. That's actually the Office of Civil Rights rule. It's a ADA guideline. Instead of a click here to apply, you wouldn't highlight click here and make that the link. You would say like to apply could be the link or the whole thing. But just a piece of advice on that, because I see that too often and it backfires on them. There's even a table. You can even make a table in there. If you set the width of the table to 100%, it will be responsive. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good.
Okay.
I've only used it a handful of times. I don't really like tables, but it works decent. Now, at any point, you can just click save on this block. Go ahead.
What's the snippets? Like if I did like a screenshot?
Yeah, that's what it's meant for.
Okay.
I would advise your best bet is to use the link or image and then upload it to the file manager, which we'll talk about in a moment, and do it that way.
So I'm looking. Oh, there it is. I was looking for the save.
And once you click save, it saves that block.
Right.
Right. And now at this point, it's asking what do you want to do next. So the first thing I'm going to advise you to do is hover over that block. If you hover over it,
Mm-hmm.
you see in the right hand corner of the block, you can now drag and drop that. Go ahead and put it in one. Yeah, even into that main top or the empty main. Go ahead and try putting it somewhere else. It's a little trickier on a touchpad or laptop, I'll tell you that much. So you have to hover over the four-way, yep, and then just release it. Okay,
Ah,
perfect. Now do it again and put it into the empty main, which is just to the left of where you're at. Right there. Now,
okay.
click the plus sign one more time.
This
Up
one?
there at the top left to
Oh,
add content. Click the plus sign. Let's add more, like another block. Now,
okay.
when you do, before we choose the block, what I want to show you is I'm going to use my sports analogy. I can hear my web designer grinning through his microphone probably because I use this a lot. So your sports analogy, I want to take it a step further. When you click the plus sign, not only did it open up your blocks menu, but look again on the right-hand side. You notice all of the areas actually expose and say, hey, I'm here. And it
Right.
puts a color around it. And the reason for the color is if that's your playing field. That's your court, your field, whatever sport you're into. If you're a hockey fan, those are your lines on the ice. So whatever it is, what you want to make sure is when you're working on content for a page, your main, just plain old main where we put your current content is normally what you're aiming for. There's no harm in the other green areas labeled empty main top, bottom, or even sidebar top and bottom. However, if you scroll up and down on the right-hand side a little bit, if it'll let you, do you see
Mm-hmm.
like at your footer, you see those blue lines?
Mm-hmm.
Blue is bad. Blue is out of bounds. You've just hit the puck into the audience at that point. Now, that's not always true. Sometimes there's probably a good reason to use those blue lines, but blue is site wide, and that's what they always be. Even in your header, you'll see blue lines a little bit up there. Your navigation probably is blue, but all
Yeah.
of that stuff that says blue, that would show up everywhere on your site.
Okay.
But then, Brandon, why do you let me put something there? Well, because sometimes there's a good reason to put stuff in blue areas. Like if it's a really hard push, like it's February, March, and it's like admissions hard push season, you're doing some big event, maybe up in the header where there's an auxiliary area with a blue box that lets you put something there. Maybe you want a button that takes them to like a event page or something. So I wouldn't say it's off limits. It's just not something you would do on a day-to-day basis. You want to aim for the green.
Okay.
All right, made my piece on that one. All right, let's try another block, whether an image block or a button block. Take a look over there and let's grab one off the lineup, off the bench, and send in another player. Yep, and then drag. Now you see that line. You see where it's telling you, yeah, you could put it right there. That'd look good. The little sidebar, put a little image. Now, this one has very easy user interface. You're swimming in the ocean, no problem. You knew gut instinct says, oh, choose image. Yep, that's right. You just click it. Now, this is going to be one of your first exposures to probably the second best thing. I mean, if adding content is one of my best things in the new one, the file manager is 1000% better. First
Yeah.
of all, you have folders. And you even in the upper right hand corner see there's a jump to folder or new folder button.
Uh-huh.
I strongly recommend now that you have your own files that are separated from everybody else, take advantage of these folders. You can see we have like some stock art in there for you.
Right.
As we built out some stuff, we put some images into some folders. So I would suggest, one thing I sometimes recommend is you have like a sitemap, and like if I'm putting documents that are being used on the admissions page, maybe I'll make a folder called admissions and I just stick all of those documents in there, that kind of thing.
Okay.
All of your files that came from your current site are
Uh-huh.
in the folder labeled imported from version 1. You see that folder up there? We
Got it.
did that on purpose to help keep it clean.
Yeah.
You
That's
can
great.
actually move stuff around. If you once we go in the file manager, I'll show you, you can actually click on things and then tell it I want to move it to some other folder. So I figured you can unpack that a little as you see fit.
Yeah.
but I didn't want to start you out with just a mess of things, not knowing if all of it was relevant. But there was still some pretty good stuff in here for sure. Now, let's start simple. Let's just go to the stock art folder for now.
Okay.
And you'll see we just have some photos in here, and just choose one. You can see like boy teen happy. Oh, you chose that one. I think Obeda's gonna grin now. This one, there's a school that actually uses that stock photo like on like branding. They liked it so much. I find it hysterical. Go ahead and click add. Now there's other things in there like the alt text. If you don't have any familiarity with ADA compliance, alt text is needed in most cases to add a description to the image, but it's not a visible description. It's a description that would be used by screen readers or other technology. It's often recommended that when you're adding an image, you add alt text, and that block right in there had a spot for it. You'll see alt text on several blocks where they have images. Now, at any point, if you want to re-access or change the settings on a block, you just hover over it, click on it, and choose edit. And it reopens the same menu that you had when you set it down the first time. Yep, and you could, now when you're looking at that, exactly, clear or choose new file. Never choose delete from that, because that literally is like, oh, I want to delete it. Yes, it deletes it from your backend file manager. And then you would just choose a new image and boom, it's there. Yeah, and then if you just save or change any other things you want, and yes, that image could even be a link. You could make it be a practical link to some other page. Oh, that's a cute picture. Okay, so here, what you want to do now for the first time ever is click the pencil that's in green in the upper left. And for the first time, it's going to ask you this question. Do you want to put any version comment? Well, what's that all about? That's just for archival purposes. If you want to note like what changes you made to the page, if you have, yeah, I mean, even for yourself, right? You could say added text or image, right? That's the other kind of stuff you could put in there. It's just a good thing so that you know what you did for your own record keeping. Although I'll show you in a minute, there's a version history that'll help out. Okay. Then you the same choice as before. Do I want to publish the page, which makes it public? There's a clock. If you're completely done with this page, that's the key. The key element to that clock is if you're 100% done with this page, but yet you're not ready for it to go live, but will be, say, Monday morning at 5 a.m. for some crazy reason, you would click the clock. The clock would allow you to take this last piece of editing and schedule it to be published at a date and time of your choosing, which is
that's nice.
Useful.
Yes.
But there's a catch to it. And the catch is you can really only do that if you don't plan on editing it anymore, because you're essentially saying, take these edits and make them live on this date and time.
Right.
If you click save, what it does is it just stays in edit mode and lets you edit, and if you had to leave, you would just come back and continue editing the page.
Okay.
So it leaves you in a position where you'll never have to worry about exposing the page, because it's still telling you it's an unpublished draft. So go ahead and click the plus sign, or I should say, go ahead and add content to the page. Let's add one more thing, like a button. I always show people that button because, first of all, teaching high school, I showed people how to write code to do their own buttons, and this thing makes it so much easier. It just makes me smile every time. So just drag and drop and put it wherever you think.
So you used to just clicking on it.
Now there is a way to do that. There is the old school way of doing that. You can actually click in an empty area and then choose add block. That's another method.
There we go.
And then it would do this reverse, and you're just clicking. But I like showing the new age method because it's just more fun. Now you'll see at the top, it's giving you a preview of the button that you're about. Okay. So let's start with the text. Maybe the text says apply now. And it lets you do either a single line, or if you want line with subtext, which is really kind of cool that you have that choice.
Okay. Center. Single line. Okay. You can choose an icon. Oh, well, hello. You want me to just add it?
Yeah. So just take a look at what you see there. There's icon. You can choose a pencil icon, a calendar icon. I know we wanted to do an improvement on this. When you choose the icon, you should be able to just choose one. I don't know if it's going to show me what that list looks like, but you can just choose any icon off that list right there.
Here we go.
I know in the future we're going to want to put a little snippet of the icon next to the thing, but you can see it in the top when you choose it.
Yeah.
And then you can choose from color. And then, of course, where's the button going? Is the button going to link to an internal page, a file, or an external page? Which is nice.
Yeah.
Yep. And then if you did that, you could just click choose file. And if the file didn't exist already in your manager, when this window opens, there's an upload files button in the upper right corner. So you could put yourself in the folder first, and then you would just say upload a file. Of course, you're in the stock art folder because that's where we were last. So if you upload right now, it's going to put it in the.
Oh, where'd I go? Hello.
I don't know. It kind of.
I know what I did.
I didn't see what happened there.
I hit the back arrow.
Yeah. Try to avoid the back arrow of your browser when inside of the platform. But you caught yourself, so that's cool.
Yeah. Let's see. Try this again. Button. Drag you over here. Okay, there we go. Apply now. Choose icon. Okay. File, choose file. So if I go to file manager.
Right, that would put you back. Yep. You could do that or jump to folder. Exactly. And now if you wanted to just put it in the general folder, you could just choose calendar if you want. That's your image of your calendar, or you would upload one.
Yeah, okay.
And that window, when you're in that window, that's drag and drop. So technically you don't even have to click the upload file, although you could. When that window is open, anytime the file manager is open, you can actually just drag a file and drop it onto that window, and wherever you're in, it'll just put it in there.
Okay.
And then once it's uploaded, you just click on it and you've selected it. And I'll say this out loud since Brian's in here, but one of the improvements we want to do to this block, and we had to roll it back, we're going to make it so your brand colors would show up in there as well, so that you can choose that. You could do custom color right now, and if you know your brand colors, you could just paste it in there. But eventually we will get it so that you can select from it inside of this button.
Okay.
But for now, you can choose from some of the defaults or do a custom, and then the custom color would let you do like a hex color code value, which you can just do a Google for HTML color codes, and it would just give you any color of the rainbow you wanted.
I'm just going to keep it simple right now.
Yeah, that's what I would do. And then, of course, you've got size options, radius if you want to round off the button, is it lining to the left, right, or center of the space, all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Left align. I like mine centered. Add. I like the font.
Yeah, and you actually can actually change and set your fonts inside of the area. But I mean, obviously we try to choose one that we think just looks good. Any Google say font you can actually use. Now go ahead and click the pencil and publish this time. Of course, that would be the last step, right? Like after you're ready for it to go, you just click publish. Oh, you're good. You're even adding comments.
So then click publish.
Yep. And then when you do, this should now show up as another item in your main navigation. Why? Because we added it under home. Right. So it's now a main level page. Now, Just like in the olden days, if you went back into the dashboard, went to the sitemap, and then dragged and dropped practice page in or on one of the other ones, it would actually put it as a submenu item. Go ahead and try that. Let's go to the sitemap.
Right here.
Yep, dashboard. You could also use the intelligent search. And then once you're here, click on sitemap. Now your page should be at the bottom of the entire sitemap because we clicked home to add it, and it's going to go all the way to the bottom. Now go ahead and drag it and drop it onto like Catholic Identity or Contact Us, any one of those. And if you release it right there, yep, it's going to ask you a question. Okay, you've moved practice page onto Catholic Identity. What do you want to do? You get 3 options. I'm actually moving it. You moved, you packed your bags, you live somewhere else. Alias could be useful. Alias is, well, I still want practice page where it is on my menu, but I want to add another link to it in my menu underneath Catholic Identity. That's what an alias is, which is pretty handy for the most important pages that you can make show in different places, but have one edit page to make. Copy is like, well, I want to take a copy of it, put it under Catholic Identity, because you're going to go in there and maybe edit it. You're going to use it as a template, so to speak.
Okay.
Or there's a replace, which is very rare, but that would be like, well, I'm going to take practice page and I'm going to bump Catholic Identity off the map and just straight up replace it. I don't think I've ever had a need to use that one, but it's there. We're going to go ahead and say we're going to move it. Click go. And you'll now see that it's going to put itself under the drop down for Catholic Identity at the bottom. And if you said, well, I don't want it at the bottom of that, you can then click and drag from here. You could even drag it up a little further if you wanted. And as long as you land in between, now you landed right in between those two. So it says, now that's where I'll be. In the upper left, if you use that arrow, that arrow is not the browser. That just flips the coin over. So you can click it, and what it does is it goes back to whatever page you were last on when you were on the front side. Okay. So it should drop us right back to the practice page, and it did. Notice practice page.
But now it's under here.
Yes, and notice it's showing you that both in the menu and in the little breadcrumb below the title. It even tells you that, as well as in the sidebar on the right. It's telling you that. Excellent. So that was a crash course on adding pages and also adding and editing content, because the same principle applies to an existing page. You can drag those around to reorder your sitemap if you wanted to consolidate. Like if you said, oh, well, I want to put Contact Us under About. Or if you said, I'm going to put announcements and calendar under Student Life just to kind of consolidate the menu, you can. You just do that right in the sitemap. No harm, no foul. It doesn't break the links that you've already established to it. It just will update itself.
Okay.
Now, any questions on adding or editing content on a page?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, cool. So at any point you want to delete this page, what you'll do is you'll go on the sitemap, click it, and choose delete. But for now, I want you to click the gear. That's the one icon we have yet to touch in the upper left corner.
Okay. Gear.
The gear has a grab bag of goodies. For example, the composer is the first thing to open. So if you said, I didn't want to call it practice page anymore, it's going to be called, Lacie's awesome, beach visit or something, whatever it is, then you can actually change the page. Okay.
Okay.
On a live site, I don't recommend editing what's called the URL slug. That's going to actually be the link to the page. But if the site's not live yet and this is a new page, you really won't hurt too much if you had to edit it. It'll take whatever the name of the page is by default. But if you change the page name now, that URL slug will not update itself. So once you've established a page, for your own protection, it wouldn't do that. It wouldn't edit the slug. There's another way. If you tell me, well, I really want a shorter link or some other link to resolve to that, that's called locations, which is also on the left-hand grab bag menu. And then there's attributes. Attributes has a series of like, I want to add some extra goodies to this for some reason. There's permissions. That's where it gets a little deep and dark into the recesses of the guts. Like, for example, if you added a single user and wanted to give them permission to edit it, permissions is a bit advanced. But my favorite two here are, favorite three really, view as user, mobile preview, and versions. Those are fun because mobile preview, if you click mobile preview, what it does is shows you what it's going to look like on a phone. And Brian, I'm going to make a note on this. I'd like to maybe just remove the models if Concrete 5 lets us do that in there, like, because the model numbers are a bit dated. So click on iPhone 6. Really, it's not so much the model number that matters as it is the what it's going to do is it's going to take the size of that screen, and what it should be doing, there it goes. Took a little hesitation here with Teams, but it's going to render it quickly on a size of a cell phone so that you can see what it would look like.
Yeah.
270+% of your users, according to Google.
Yeah.
And you can even hold the phone sideways. That's what the icon in the lower left is. And I bring that up because I'm always working on two giant monitors. Like, I've got 3 screens. I know you've got 2 going on. I've got like 2 27-inch monitors plus my laptop. I sometimes don't always stop and think, hey, I should go look at this as what it looks like as a cell phone. You can always resize your screen, of course, but this is a quick way to also see it.
Okay.
Now, in the upper left where it says devices, click on that and it'll actually put us back into the page setting menu. Click on versions. Versions is like your save and publish log. And notice it even shows you your own note to yourself, which I love. If you click the I, there's a little I indicator. You see that? It'll actually give you at least who done it and what's the date and time.
Okay.
Okay, so when you get other people using it, that's also beneficial. It also tells you which version is currently the published and public, right?
Okay.
If you put a check next to 1 and 2, it's going to load it. It might take it a second in here on our connection, but if you put a check next to 1 and 2, it lets you put a live preview of what it used to look like in version 1 and what it now looks like in version 2, and then you can actually flip between them if you were looking at like, what did I change? That's one way to do it. And if for some reason, if you're looking at version 1 and 2 and you said, I wasn't ready to publish version 2, you can actually, in the left-hand menu, you can click on version 1. So click on the version 1 on the left.
Right here?
Right on the actual blue text that says
right here.
Right? On the left, though, the number 1 created on 7/20 or 7/2/21. Click right on that. Yep.
Okay.
And it gives you quick options. If you were to click approve, go ahead and do that. It won't hurt anything. It's going to pass the baton of
it's
live.
It's going to revert to that one.
Yes.
It's like in Google Docs.
Yes.
The version history.
Yes, that's a great likeness. Now, the difference, though, is here is what it's going to do, though, is it's going to let you, when you go back to the page, you still see and are working on version 2.
Okay.
Because you're logged in and that version is still on top of your pancake stack on the left. Like, that edit still happened. That edit still exists and it's still on top. So people who visit the site once it's live would see version 1 before the button was added. This is a great trick for if I want to make a page, put a little bit of content there and maybe put a more coming soon, then I can manually set that to the live and then I can just keep editing. And until I click publish again, they see that initial version that might say under construction or coming soon.
Right.
And at any point, if you said, well, I really don't want that button or version 2, then you could click on version 2 and choose delete, but then it would obliterate it forever so that never happened.
Right.
Okay, so click on version 2 and just make that live again. Excellent. And then click your gear to get out of here. So I just wanted to mention that because that versioning is far superior. I mean, it existed in 1.0, but it's just more convenient and just better, especially now you have drafting, which didn't really exist in 1.0. Any questions about anything we just messed with versions and settings and jumping in between these?
Wait, say that again.
So any questions about page versions, the publishing, draft, or sitemap? No? All right, click on home,
Okay.
which can also be accessed by clicking on your logo. That also takes you home. Both of them will
Oh,
resolve to
year
the,
two. Okay.
yeah, yep. Now, we're now wanting to just look at the home page. The home page is, for the most part, set it and forget it. If you
Mm-hmm.
find yourself tinkering with the home page, I want you to think, I need to email Brandon then. Like, you shouldn't have to edit this once you're satisfied with what you have and where the links are going. Like, obviously it's new, so you might go, well,
Mm-hmm.
I want to change this or change that. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But just note that the way you really want this, you don't want this website to give you a headache. So
Mm-hmm.
what you really want it to do is look good, be easy to navigate so that your prospective families can get to like apply now or learn about you. Current
Mm-hmm.
families can look at announcements or what's on the calendar, and you shouldn't have to be editing anything here once you get what you want.
So now I'm looking at right here the pictures. Like we're now 151 years, and each year we change the virtuous life year.
Sure. All
Those
that
things.
all that is, if go ahead and put it in edit mode. Everything you see, you have so much more flexibility. Now, I put that in as a collage block. I wanted to show off one of the newer blocks.
So if I go to
There's
wait, I'm gonna stop you here. Edit mode. Which button am I gonna
the
hit?
pencil. Hover over the
Okay.
pencil.
Yeah. There we go.
You want to edit the page. You're engaging it into edit mode when
Okay.
you click that. Yep. So existing page already has content. All I want to do is change what's there. Let's just click on the pencil. Now what it does is now you're engaged in edit mode. And if you scroll down, to the left of that text, you see that gray box. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a big fan of the fact that it's using like white text on that. It might be
That's fine.
another ticket for us to see why it won't. Oh, you know what? I know why it does that. It's because in that tier, the text is white, so it's actually behaving, but it shouldn't actually obey that rule. I get why it's doing it, but I think we could override that. Click on that gray block because what it's actually saying, if you can read it better, it's a collage block. This is a brand new
Mm-hmm.
block. Didn't exist in 1.0. If you edit it, you'll see that what I did is instead of a slider, because your images that you were using on your original one weren't all the same size, and
Right.
slides, like that's like putting in different images into a slide projector and like one's this
Mm-hmm.
way and that way. This block you can actually use as both a slideshow, but a slideshow that shows multiple images at once, hence a collage. You can
Okay.
actually add slides, which are called collages in this case, or edit the one that I've given you.
Mm-hmm.
The one that I've given you is just a 4 square image. I thought it
Mm-hmm.
was simple enough.
Yeah.
If you just click edit that slide, you will actually see it tells you what I've chosen as
The
the layout.
layout.
And look at all of those. It's almost too
But that's
much.
kind of cool.
Oh, there's even more. If you scroll down inside of that layout has an inner scroll
Yeah.
because this collage block is like a chameleon. It can actually do, yeah, if you have a mouse, it's a little bit easier with a wheel mouse, but it actually has
Yeah.
the ability to do like full
There we
screen
go.
layouts. Yes.
Okay.
Like if you wanted to use one across the top of a page,
Mm-hmm.
those widescreen layouts are just really fantastic. The problem is you see when you choose a layout like my Foursquare,
Mm-hmm.
it has a preset sort of cookie cutter that says, well, these are all a bunch of square images. That's why I chose it because it was the easiest one.
Right.
If you scroll back up, you see in the upper left, you might have to scroll on the outer, I'm not outer scroll in there because with their smaller screen, we're not seeing it. But
I'm
so
trying to.
so over
Mhm.
on the left hand side a little bit, if you hover, can you scroll within the block
There
of
we
the
go. Okay.
so here those are actually how I set them. They
Mm-hmm.
literally are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4 when I first did this, but so like they're all just ones. They're just like 1, 1, 1. So what you do is you just click on an image, and then it's going to open the file manager to let you choose another one. Now,
Gotcha.
my suggestion though is you said something very relevant. You said the word replace. You said that from year to year we replace that like year of hope. And I remember that because each year Catholic Schools Week, you kick off, and usually each year is a different. We usually had a different year or something going on with that. So what I would do personally is I would have those assets in a folder. And then what I would do is literally click on that image and choose replace. And I'll show you that file manager because people do something interesting with websites, and I never could wrap my brain around this. They just keep adding new files. So after 3, 4, 5, 10 years, you have all of these files, and half of them aren't even relevant anymore.
Right.
There's no reason for that. For example, your student handbook, your calendar, the year of hope or year of whatever. What I would do is have these folders organized with whatever files are in them. And when you get a new version of the file, we're going to go into the file manager, click on the file, and one of the options literally says replace. You can't do it from within the block because right now it's asking you to choose a new image.
Right.
So that actually school images is the image of all of your different schools within the diocese. So I think if you go into imported from version 1.0, that's currently, and we can move those. I'll show you how we can move them out of here, but they're going to be in, I want to say one that says like images for slider home or something.
Oh,
you can click on
it. Not ours.
Click to, all I can say is it was probably tagged that way.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, because what those folders are,
those are the old ones.
Yes, those were all of the categories that were tagged in the old site, and it makes a folder with them. Here's an easier way to find what you're looking for. On the right, click jump to folder. If you knew the file name, you could use that too. That's another good one.
Okay.
Now open the drop down for imported on the left.
Let's go back. Jump to
like the plus sign to expand.
Here we go.
Yep. And then that's going to show you all of see the slider show on homepage. I think that's the folder you want. Click on that folder. And should have the 3 of the, well, maybe it's not. So these could be older ones. And this is another reason to put them in here. Go ahead and click jump to folder again. I know it was in there. I know that's where they're coming from. I just don't remember which one because, again, there was an awful lot of stuff in here. Some of it may have just been older, which is fine because some of it you want to keep. You will want to keep some of it.
Some of this stuff.
There.
I mean, I cleaned it up.
I think home carousel is where they normally were because that was what it came from. Is you had a carousel, or we had a slideshow on there, and I chose to use the collage. So there's where they are now. That's where it's pulling them from. So we can end up moving those into a folder outside of the imported if you want, or we'll, choose new ones or replace them. Go ahead and close this for now.
Okay.
Close the little pop-up. So that was putting the page in edit mode and then editing the collage, which then let you choose. Now the cool part is if you were to click add collage in this block and then choose another 4x4 layout, you would actually have 2 slides of 4 at a time. That's the really, which is why I really like this block is it's harder to do than say a slideshow because you have to have the photo assets to pull it off because some of them mix portrait and landscape. So you would actually choose like, oh, photo 1, it wants a portrait one. Then I should probably choose a portrait one. So we can even swap that entire block off. You could say, collage block is cool, but I just want a slideshow. Well, we could actually click on the collage block, delete it, and then add a block and grab the slider block, which is a slideshow block, and put it in there. Then you could just manually say, well, I want these 3 or 4 slides to rotate through. That's the other way to do it. So you have that level of flexibility.
Okay.
Go ahead and just cancel from here for right now. To the right, you see a welcome, you see some text and 2 buttons. You kind of already know how the routine is on that. You would just edit it. Icon tiles, we threw them in there and I just chose some random information that was in your about you to throw in there.
Right.
You can say, oh, I'm going to replace that with something else. We could even just stick like a 4 images across there if you wanted. We could update those icons with something else. You see announcements. That's a brand spanking new feature in the 2.0. Because 1.0 didn't have an announcement manager and it didn't have the ability to bring in your Plus Portals announcements. So this is probably another value add for you guys in that
Yeah.
those, I didn't put those on there. Those are coming from your portal on their own. I didn't do
Right.
anything. And all I've done is set it to show 4. And then I chose a template to put them in Foursquare mode. And then there's a button that takes you to a page where it'll actually just stack them and show them in like a list.
Gotcha.
And then if you scroll down, there's just our new calendar block. Again, didn't put those in there. As soon as we built your new site, your portal, it says, oh, goody, they're already putting stuff in there. Quick links is new. That links block actually is just a block with very few settings, and it reads and displays a set of links that come from the dashboard in an area called links. And so what I do with that is I threw a couple, like link to the Plus Portals, a donate link, a link to your calendar page. I just threw a couple just important links on there, and you're welcome to like add, remove, edit, and put the links. You can even put them in whatever order you want. It'll do it alphabetically. It'll do it in some sort of sort order. I wouldn't recommend putting more than 10 in the category called quick links. You can put as many links to files, pages, external, internal as you want. You can use as many categories on them as you want, but keep it simple. Like we did, we start you out with one category called quick links, which not only shows up here, but at the top of your website, there's a button. When clicked, it slides open a sidebar that has those quick links there, which is handy for your parents.
Okay. I have to run to the restroom very quickly.
Please, absolutely. Not a problem at all.
All right. I'll be right back.
Absolutely. Strange question for beta. Is there a pause? I don't think there's a pause recording like there was.
There isn't, unfortunately. So it's
it's
one of the most requested features for Teams. I think they're working on it, but there is
no. I knew they were. I was just hoping you were gonna say, yeah, Brandon, they released it. No. Oh well. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Getting some good information this time around, you two?
Yeah, for me, a nice use of the collage block on the homepage there. I've never thought of using it in like a smaller area like that, floated to the side of content. So I'm definitely gonna add
Me
that.
either. That was the first.
Yeah, it looked really good.
Actually, the reason I did it is I noticed you used the carousel, and then I noticed the reason you did was because all of those images were varying sizes, so it was kind of hard to meet in the middle. So I just said, collage block, make them one by one.
Good
I
call.
thought it looked good. It was simple, easy to maintain.
Okay, I'm back.
Excellent, excellent. So let's go ahead and just scroll up and down this homepage. And what I'll ask is, do you have any questions or, oh my gosh, moments I need to change something? I know of one. I have one that I just noticed that I didn't mention, which is that 6 images across there is going to be where I'm going to take you. But is there anything else on here?
No, it looks great so far.
You're just like, no, it looks good the way it is. I don't want to touch it. I even put your altar servers with guitars. I love that photo so much. I put it as the background to that tier. I don't know if you see that.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, and then as you scroll down, it does that a couple times there too. And then all the way at the bottom, the only thing I didn't mention also is those action tiles that existed in 1.0. They're slightly better now.
Okay.
That's just a series of like a few tiles with an image that link to some other page, sort of a call to action. I randomly just chose some things that I thought if I was a parent checking your school out, that would be convenient. And then it finishes off. And since I happen to be in the know with the advanced ed change to Cognia, I went ahead and swapped that logo out already because Connor over at Holy Savior was like, oh yeah, they changed. So I now know to do that on all of your sites.
Oh, great.
So already done. Let's go ahead and click the dashboard button, because this is actually we're making such good time, and you take to this so easily. We're actually going faster than normal. So please slow me down and interrupt me if you do have any questions. Let's
Okay.
go to the files first. We already kind of seen a sneak peek of files. When you're clicking within a block, it opens this area up. Notice it always memorizes wherever you last were, even when you're in a block.
Right.
You can always, you already know this. Yes, you can already do that. So click on that.
Mhm.
And then from here, if you needed to, you could do the new folder, and then you could start afresh, right? So you could do whatever you need to do there. Perfect. Here's a little bonus to the other reason why I keep pushing the idea of folders. The other reason I push the idea of folders is there are blocks, brand new blocks. One such block is called the document library block. Another such block is called the file set and folder gallery block. You can now drop a block and tell it to go show me either a list of all of the PDFs or files you found in there, or there's a gallery one that says, go just give me a quick collage of all the images that you found in there.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, it's really neat. I think Brian used that already when he was setting up your site on, because you guys had a lot of good galleries. I think he did a little bit with that and pointed it to some folders. So that's the other reason I'm pushing the folders, is not only is it going to help you stay clean and organized and finding your folders, it's also going to help on the front end. Now, go ahead and let's go into your admin files there. Like, what would you put in admin files?
That would be the stuff for like registration, like all of the files that I need to put just for registration.
Now, do you happen to, I mean, I know you're at the beach, so you may not have it, but do you happen to have access to what those new files would be?
They are actually probably under, oh, I don't know what I just did.
They're
They're probably under imported.
Yeah, well, you can do one of two things. You could jump to folder. You could even try doing a search.
Let's see.
But you kind of have to know what you're looking for, right?
Right. I know. I'm like, aftercare. Let's see.
So what that'll do is it'll search everything, and if it didn't find, it's looking at file names and titles. It didn't find anything titled after.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think. I would have to just jump to the folder and look. And I may have. I probably didn't. Let's see. It may be registry. I may have a registration folder that I started.
Try searching registration. I mean,
oh, look, right here. There it is.
Okay, good. Go ahead and go into that folder. Here's what I'm going to have you do so that we can start fresh. It's harder on the screen, but up in the upper right where it says show 10, tell it to like show 50 or show 100. Like show, I just want to see how many are in there. Now, notice right away, I don't know if that happened on our end. Oh, you have PK3. Okay, I thought that was the same file. PK3, PK4. Those are not the same
we
file.
have two different files.
So if you have new ones for 2022, your best bet may just to start fresh in that folder.
Okay.
Otherwise, once you get going and you have this like new student registration form, I'm a big fan of like not putting the date in the title. And just using, and here's what I mean by that. Click on that new student registration form, PK20, that first one, click that. Now right click it. Try a regular click on it. You should be able to get a menu pop up. And if you're not, then I'm not certain on your device why it's not giving you that option.
It might be what I'm on. Come on.
It's not good.
I'm gonna try this one. Right click, left click.
Give it a sec. Do a right click and then wait maybe, because it shouldn't. I've never seen it not give you your file options, because what you should be getting is in the file manager. you should be able to, and of course mine's going slow too, so I don't know if it's just us. Oh yeah, simple right click and I instantly get a pop-up which should give you an option to view the file, download the file. You should be able to have a move option, duplicate, and my favorite, oh, there it goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? I touched it with, I have a touch screen, so I touched it and click.
Ah,
It's probably
the way
you
the
know,
device
it's on their Chromebook, it's a 2-finger tap to the right.
Oh, kind of like the Apple does.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Good though. At least you know that now. There. Now you
Right.
see that replace option
Uh-huh.
in the
That's where
long
you would
run.
replace that.
Yes. What I would do is
Yeah.
have a folder that called like admin or admission files, and then what I would do is just put the forms in there, and then on a page I'd go drop a block called the document library block, and then tell it to go show the files from this folder. And then all you have to do when they give you the new files is come into that folder and just replace them with the new ones.
Okay.
And if you click that, go ahead and choose that replace. It's kind of like a page version. So you would just drop the new file there, and wherever you're using or linking to the file throughout your site, you're done.
Okay.
Because it just updates it to the new file.
Gotcha. I see what you're saying now.
And that's
a lot easier.
Yeah, and that goes in line with what I was trying to say about the way the website is set up. It's mostly set it and forget it.
Right.
Obviously, go to a page and edit the content because you've typed some dates in or something, and those need to get updated, or the content verbiage needs to get updated. Sure, you'll go to those areas and update the text on the page as needed. But if it's a link and you've pointed to your file manager, or you're displaying files, then your best option is to simply replace the file or make a whole new folder, put the new files in it, and then go to the page and just point that block to the new folder. Either way, it shouldn't take you a lot of work. And if it is, and you're getting frustrated with the CMS, I want to hear about it because there's enough tips and tricks and management here that you should feel as though this is aiding you in doing your job, not working against you.
Right. Okay.
And if you're feeling like it's working against you, then just tell me so I can tell you a better way of doing what you're attempting then. And we like hearing that too anyways, because either we can show you a better way, or maybe we're like, oh, right, this is causing you a problem. We need to do something about that.
Right.
All right. So from the file manager perspective, that right click also had the move to. So as you filter through some of these imported from, you can actually multi-select files too, by the way, and then you should be able to do a right click and move to. So you could hold shift and then click on one file and then hold shift and click on another, and it's sort of the same thing.
Gotcha.
It's harder on a laptop, but you definitely on a desktop can do a block and then do a move to, and then point to your brand new folder if you want. And then that way you can keep all of the stuff archived here and imported that you don't need anymore, but then you can copy or move those new files. Check the box next to it. That's one I know I can even say that I didn't find that as intuitive, but it's going to move any of those. See, and it moved them. See, they're gone. Yeah. They're now in your new folder.
Gotcha.
And actually, if you do a shift click, if you like click on the first one and then shift click the last one, I believe you can even click the drop down next to the name in the upper left corner under File Manager also lights up. And under that, you can also get to the when you that's the other way to get to those options. So clicking on the desktop, just dawned on me like, oh yeah, you can also, instead of right clicking, you can also use that option as well.
Okay.
And so in that regard, you can then put those where you need them. And then what I would do is replace them with the new versions.
In that folder.
Yeah. And then the other thing, I think it's a little extra work, but it's worth it in the long run, is if you click on a file, not only to replace it, but if you click on properties, you can actually retitle the file to a more user-friendly title that is also sometimes used or displayed by certain blocks. You see the title down there?
Yeah.
Click on that and you can then edit it.
Gotcha.
And that doesn't change the file name and the background, but it does change the sort of title, public facing, what you see in the file manager, what you might see in the front end. You see the versions tab up there in the middle?
Yes.
If you click on that, that's where if you did replace it, you don't lose the old one. It's still
Gotcha.
here.
Nice.
You can just go in, click on file name and then our version. And then in here, if you're like, ooh, I uploaded the wrong replacement, you come here, you'd have a list of how many times you replaced it. You can always put the radio button back to an original version or clear out a version just like a page. So that's the other benefit to doing it that way is it keeps sort of the underlying file versions on this and doesn't clutter you up with years and gobs of, I call it death by PDF, call it whatever you want. But I know working at my school, it was like, they give me a new version, like at the beginning of the year. And then of course my vice principal would say, oh, we made like 3 more edits, you know, like here's another version. And then that same afternoon, here's another one. And she'd go, well, why isn't this frustrating you? I said, because all I do is go in there and say replace and then click on the one you emailed me. She goes, that's how easy it is? Yep. I'm not going through the website trying to figure out where I link to it or fix this button and that button. I just replace it.
Yeah.
And then heaven forbid they say, ooh, that was the wrong version. No, you just go in here and roll it back and remove the one they sent you wrong. You don't have to tell them that's what you're doing. You can actually say, that's really hard, but I'll get it done. And then have an extra 5 minutes to yourself, you know, to stay sane.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and close that window. Any questions about managing your files?
No, that seems pretty straightforward.
And the folders, I hope you end up liking it as much as I do, because I just, the 1.0 not having folders. Just
right. Well, I like the fact that I don't have to see everybody else's. That is huge in itself.
There is one that I want to make sure. Click reset search. I'm going to show you an advanced search that has to do with your front page. Click on advanced right there in the search bar.
Okay.
Now, by default, it searches by keyword.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get here, do you see where it says the word keyword? Click on right there as a drop down. Right on the word keyword is a drop down. Change that from keyword to file set. Now in the file set line, the blank line, click it. See where it says homepage collage images?
Yes.
Choose that.
Okay.
Now in the bottom right, click on save as search preset so that we don't have to. Now name this homepage collage. That's the 6 images that go across the top of your page.
I know I didn't spell that correctly, but
oh, that's good. It looks good. Looks good to me. Save set. And then what it's going to do is it's going to actually run the search, but it's also going to put it into the file manager so that you can always get to it. These images represent images that we tagged as being part of a file set, which still exists. File sets are still used. They're still useful. And so that home page goes ahead, and what it does is we've set it to show 6 images that have been tagged with that particular file set. Matter of fact, right click on one of those images or whatever the 2-finger tap is. Now, see where it says sets? Choose the word sets right there. And you'll notice homepage collage is checked.
Yep.
If you uncheck it, it no longer puts it into the lineup coach. So what it's actually doing on the homepage is it looks throughout your files as for that set designation tattooed or checked off. They don't have to live in a particular folder. They can live anywhere in the file manager that you want, which is handy. That's why sets work good with files and folders, because folders are a singular location. Sets are just a category. Okay. So in this regard, I don't have to put all of the images in one folder. Instead, I can just say, ooh, that one's nice and that one's nice. And even though this image is in the athletics folder and this one's in the admissions folder, I can just tag them by right-clicking and saying, you know, throw that into the homepage collage. There's no limit. You can tag as many images as you want with that tag. But what the front page is going to do, and this is intentional, it will randomly just choose 6 and throw them up. even when you refresh the page, you might not ever get the same 6. If you put like 24 in there, you'll get a random 1/3 of those images showing up and not even the same order every time. That's on purpose so that it gives a fresh look, right? So when people go to your page, it's not the same old, oh, yep, there's the same 6 pictures. Yep, there's the same 6 pictures. It's supposed to give the impression of freshness every time so that when they go back, it's just drawing them in. You can even turn that off. You can either remove or add images by doing exactly what we just did here by tagging, on tagging, however many you want. Okay.
Okay.
Now go ahead and cancel here. And if you go back, if you say reset search now, click that reset there, and then you'll see we'll have our saved. You see that homepage collage?
Yeah.
I love that. So now it's there. It's inside of the file manager for you just to click on it, and it'll actually just run the same search again.
Okay.
Now, if you click on the right under file sets, you see in the file manager there, you can click it, and that too will show you those. And if you click on homepage collage images, it'll show you which images are actually in it. It won't let you add to it from here. It'll let you rename it or drag and drop them, because some blocks, there's a file set gallery block, and it'll use the order that you drag and drop them in if you wanted to display them in a certain way. Just the front page is strictly random though.
Okay.
Okay. So sitemap, files, members, those are like your big 3. We've hit those. How are you feeling so far about the system? Excited? Does it feel feeling good, feeling better than it did in the 1.0?
I mean, yeah, I think it's a lot better, and it seems to be a little bit more user-friendly than in the past.
Oh, way better, way better.
So, yeah, I mean, it took me a while to learn the last one, but I had finally figured it out. But no, this is way easier.
Yeah, and the cool part is we didn't do something that was so drastic that it wouldn't be intuitive. So most of the same sort of concepts are still there. It just got better.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of user-friendly, over on the right in the dashboard, go ahead and scroll down. Let's go look at some of the other areas. Let's start with Announcement Manager, for example. The one thing you absolutely want to know about the Announcement Manager is the alert. The alert. Now, you'll notice this is just listing. And notice in the source column, it's telling you where I got them. We didn't put them in there. Somebody in your portal did, and they must have checked the public option. So the website, oh, goody, I have announcements, and it just does it. It has a start and end date. When the display date, so for example, like June, one of them says ends July 21st or 31st.
Right.
When that date passes, if you scroll up, it actually goes under the past announcements.
Okay.
So it doesn't go away, and that's a good thing. Same thing inside of Plus Portals. They can actually dust off old announcements from Plus Portals, change some stuff and dates, and they can just send them back out. Future announcements would be announcements where the start date hasn't yet happened. So if you wanted to preemptively. Now, me personally, I can't stress this enough. If you want the most value and bang for your buck, then you want whoever manages your portal to put them there first, because the feed is not backwards. Feeds work one way 99% of the time, not just on our products, but within Google and other things. It works from one end. The Mississippi flows in one direction, so to speak.
Right.
And so in this regard, I would say your best bang for your buck with announcements are, if it's really important and you need your parents and students and teachers to know about it, they really ought to put that into Plus Portals first, because you can say parents, students, teachers shall see it in the portal. I can check the public box, which also then says it shall also go to the website. At the bottom of that announcement, you can also say, and thou shalt send this as an email.
Right.
So if you start it there, you're going to hit. Oh yeah, you're hitting.
Which is great, because we're in hurricane season, and we always.
I wasn't going to say. That was kind of what I was.
No. Because they were like, can you put it on the website? And I know she puts the announcement through Plus Portal, so kind of.
Yeah, well, check this out. you actually just led me right to the mouth of the the Mississippi. What I was trying to say to you is this.
Uh-huh.
You hit it out of the park. That's where I was heading. Click on current announcements. She checks the public option, and if she says, hey, I'm just going to say something, and maybe it's controversial even as an employee to say this, but in the side of the portal, I don't use the alert option because it really doesn't alert, although they're improving on it, so it will eventually. But if you make it a public announcement like you've done here, look what I did to that very first announcement. Do you see the alert setting? There's one
Yes.
is not like the other. What I did was once it arrived here, and I said, oh, that's really important. That's a cool event. Maybe they want that to post across the top of their website too. What I
Right.
did is click on that
I
announcement.
did see that on the website. The
So
green bar across the top.
Yep. And if it was a school closing or heaven forbid hurricane,
Yeah.
go ahead and you could either create that announcement here and make it an alert, or if they create the announcement first in Plus Portals, and again, I'm going to say announcement, not alert in Plus Portals, because you can't do all the extra. Click on the title of that announcement, VCHS. You'll see what I did. It won't let you edit the stuff that comes from Plus Portals.
Right.
It'll even tell you, well, you didn't make this here, so you can't overrule it. However, the alert feature doesn't really, it lives here. So what I did is where it says alert at the top, alert announcement, you have two choices, whether it's no or it is an alert. All I did is upgrade that. I said, oh, well, I'm going to upgrade this one to an alert. I'm going to set the color to green. If this were a hurricane, I'd set it to red.
Yeah.
If it was a warning or just a heads up about a potential storm, maybe I set it to yellow or warning.
Right.
And then, is it dismissible? If you set that to yes, it gives an X at the end of that top bar so they can close it if they don't want to remain seeing it.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, there's an icon, which we probably need to update which icons you can choose. We only put a handful in there, like a sun kills me. There's also a snowflake, although, I don't know, recent weather patterns aside, you may need that. There's just all kinds of stuff in there you could choose. And then once you click publish, it then says, oh, okay, well, I see that you've upgraded this. Only those which you stipulate or upgrade to an alert will show up at the top.
Okay.
Otherwise, the normal ones will just show up in the bar on the front of your website. And if you click the all announcements on the front of your website, it takes you to a page where it just lists out 10 at a time.
Yeah.
And then it'll give them a next page. And then I even put a block at the bottom of that page where when these retire and become past announcements, it'll actually put them down under the past announcements heading on the actual announcements page. So with that in mind, any questions about the announcements? Excited about that?
No, that would be great, because like when we have an auction or we have a deadline that students have to turn in, if she sends that through there, I can, like you said, make an alert for it on the website, and then it'll kind of catch their eye. I do like how it's easy, and it's instant. It's right there.
It takes, now keep in mind, it's going to take up to an hour, meaning depending on when you post it. If you post it at like 12:45, by like 1:15, it'll be there. But here's another trick. If you do want it instant, scroll down on the dashboard under Announcement Manager. It says Feeds.
Yeah.
Here's a trick. Click on Feeds. If for some reason this is like we're in a pinch, we need it now, just click the Process Now button. And what you're doing is, don't wait for the job to run on its own every hour. I need the updated announcement.
Now.
Like if they updated the text of the announcement, if they updated the dates or something within the announcement, it will get it, but we can only, if we run it any faster than that, it'll slow your website down too much. So we run it every hour, and if you need it quicker, just do that. There's no harm. There's nothing harmful about clicking that Process Now button.
Okay.
And if it is a new announcement, you'll see the number change from 7 to 8, or if something is older and it drops away, maybe you'll see it go away.
Okay.
Now, of course, you can always come into the Announcement Manager and create an announcement. So when you were in the announcements area, in the upper right, there was a button that said Create Announcement. So if you need one just on the website, not in the portal, you can do it here too. But You know my
Like right
opinion
here.
already. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want more bang for that announcement, like an M80 firecracker, you're going to put that in the portal first
Yeah.
and potentially even email it out as well.
Okay.
And in that regard, you should actually never have to do anything with announcements other than an upgrade to an alert. Because if they're doing their job in the portal and they check
Then,
that box, it'll just get there on its own.
yeah. Makes
Now,
my life easier.
yes, and I thought you would like that, especially coming
Yes.
from 1.0 where this didn't exist. Now,
Right.
the other thing is you can pin them if you want to edit them. Now, there's one thing that I have a sort of developers, and this is for Brian's ears, he's with us. One of the improvements I eventually want to do is schools sometimes tell me, but I want them in this order. The way it works right now is you shouldn't have to mess with this other than the alert. As they put a new one in, the new one should get displayed first on the front page. If there's something important, then what I would do, and you want it to last and be there in announcements for a long time, here's 2 tricks. You set the end date to be like the last day of the school year because you're like, I want that announcement to run forever. Okay, set the end date for like the last day of school. Then in here, go in and edit it, and there's a pin option that's yes or no. And if you pin it, it'll automatically put it to the top of the announcements list of active announcements.
Mm-hmm.
And it won't get shoved down when a new one comes in. But keep in mind, there is no way to control the order. And that's intentional because it's supposed to just go, what's the newest one you made? Now I'm going to show
Right.
that one, and then push them down and push them down. And then as the end date passes, they just fall off on their own.
Well, that makes sense though.
But people want to wrestle with it, and it actually gives them a headache. And I said, well, you're fighting it. You're not letting it do what it wants to do, which is the same way the portal was designed. It wants to just show whatever active and put the newest ones on top. So
Okay.
now there is a categories thing. Keep that in mind. There's that it's empty right now because Plus portals eventually, I have requested that they add categories to their announcements, which would be very helpful. But as of now, they don't have that on the portal side. But here in the website side, you could tag something with like, this is admissions, this is athletics, because the front end block, you can actually filter which announcements you want to. So eventually, I foresee that there'll be more future proof on that. Yeah.
Okay.
You see, I put in an example one,
Right.
but that would be something just like the alert. You would have to manually tag it with that.
Okay.
Until the portal adapts the same concept, which I know we had talked about a while back. So eventually you might get that where you could say, this is an athletic announcement. But at least you can hear. And the reason that is because if you had an athletics page and you wanted announcements that come here to get tagged as or created here that are tagged with that, you can make a block and say filter just for that. And then on that page, it would only show those ones. Go to links, unless you have any questions here on announcements. I'm in love with this feature, even though it's been around in 2.0. It wasn't in 1.0.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should be used tastefully, but you can see what I've done here is I started you out with a few
Yeah.
links. I call this my must-haves, and it doesn't matter what they are, which is why I love this feature. Sitemap can only be an internal page or an external link, right? Your file manager is only files. This is actually one of the only features where it doesn't really care what it is. If you scroll up and click add link, there's an add button up in the top right.
Mm-hmm.
You actually can add a link to an internal file on your file manager, an external website or page, or an internal page off of your file map, and you can dictate an order, which is used usually within its category. So like if you want to dictate what order those quick links are in, you would just edit them and then set an order like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. And then on the front end, you can tell the block, I want them in sort order.
Gotcha.
And it do it. And there is no harm. You can make your own category. We set you on the right path with using one that we use called quick links.
Yeah.
And you can make links that are multiple categories. So I could have this admission link to this admissions file that's going to show up both in quick links, but also I'm going to categorize it also as an admissions file. You can also do that as well.
Okay.
And the reason being is because then on the admissions page, I could drop a links block and it can filter by category tag. But if nothing else, my advice is at least use it for quick links like I've done, which is your top 10. Anything more than 10, it's not so quick anymore.
Right.
If you make 20 links that are all quick links and then the list is 20 long,
It's not quick.
it's not quick. So I like right now, your site is so clean and so easy to find little things that it's just awesome. So it'll obviously grow, but it's going to be a gut check for you to say, well, yeah, that doesn't need to be a quick link. That can just be
Right.
this or that. Or if you don't want the Facebook as a quick link, then you just remove it. You could even deactivate it. There's even an on approve where you can leave the link inside of the manager. You can just unlink it, either edit it and take it off of quick links, or just unapprove it, and then it just sits in your manager.
Okay.
But I like it because what I like to do is add categories like for students, for parents, for staff, and then I drop blocks on pages and tell it to go grab the links that were tagged with that category so that I can have a page that the staff is going to, and it's only going to show them relevant links. It's similar to what you have with inside of Plus Portals. It has links and files in there. That same thing. You can say this is for staff, students, or parents. Kind of the same idea, except you would have to make the category here, and then you would drop a block and say only show those links. Okay. And again, this is where when you click on quick links on your front page, or where you see down below on your front page where there's quick links, this is where they're coming from.
Okay.
Now, event manager, let's move on to that on the right hand side. This thing has come a long way, and I'm pretty proud of this one because this thing has grown. Like 1.0, I can honestly say it makes me sneer anytime I think about calendaring in the 1.0 because it didn't really exist. It had the portal link, and I would say it was twitchy at best on the best of days. This is just awesome because, first of all, it is a standalone calendar. So you could come in here and create events, right? But to repeat myself, just like I did on the announcement manager, if somebody else is already doing the calendaring, either in Google, Office Outlook 365, or in the portal directly, if everything feeds the portal first, you don't have to do a darn thing.
Yay!
It's already, if you click on feeds under the event manager there, it's like the 5th option or so.
Yeah.
Click it, you'll see just like the announcements, it's already going, I'm supposed to look from the portal, right, boss? And again, same thing. Every hour on the hour, it goes and says, oh, okay, you added 2 more events. Now you're at 300. But if somebody says, hey, we just added this and don't see it on the website, you could always come and click process now. And if that number changes, then you're good. Okay. If the number doesn't change and they know they added it in your portal, all you have to do, same thing with the announcements, is ask one simple question. Well, did you check the public option in the portal? Because just like announcements, events in the portal have that show on login page option, and that's what appeases the Ready site. The Ready says, oh, that's public, that means me too. And if they don't do that, the website will go, oh, I won't even bother with you. You're not public. And that's important because there may be some announcements and events that you strictly want to tell your parents and students and not post it for the world to see.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. But some people forget that from year to year, and then they're like, why are my events not showing up? And 9 out of 10 times they just didn't check that box. Okay. Any questions on events? Because otherwise, I mean, I could show you a lot more about it, but why? Because most of them should just happen for you.
Right. No, that's great.
All right, let's go. I'm going to have you skip to Contact Directory Manager. Okay. This is brand new as well. In 1.0, there was a block called Staff List. And if you wanted to display a list of staff publicly, you would. I have my own sort of hate of public directories because I feel like you're just giving bots and spammers and other people on the internet ammo. But in this regard, you can actually choose to put in some important contact. Here is my best practice advice. I think adding presidents, principals, or department heads to your contact manager here, good idea. Adding your entire staff
No.
with their name, phone number, and website or email, not a good idea. What is another good idea is Plus Portals already offers a directory which syncs
Yes.
directly to Admin Plus, and it's
Mhm.
behind a login. This is public.
Yeah.
Use that for the
Yeah.
people who, and then here only add some contacts that are necessary. Do I say necessary evils? Sure, I'll say it, necessary evils. And I don't mean that what you're adding there is evil, but it's just it's
Right.
necessary, and you're going to expose that data. But dang, our contact manager here and our contact blocks, they look so much sharper than the portal. And they are great drag and drop blocks. Once you put them into the contact manager, on the front end, when you click that plus sign, there is a contact single block and a contact list block. And it's a quick drag and drop. So if you're like on the admissions page, if you want the
Mhm.
picture of the admissions person with just like their title and maybe a generic admissions email, then stick them into the manager that way. And then on the admissions page, drag and drop that single contact block and aim it at their data. It looks
Mhm.
pretty sharp.
Okay.
Okay. I'll say more if you want me to. Otherwise, I know you have just like a list. You did it. You exercised it in a way that I can get behind, which is you just on your staff director. I think you just listed a name and position. You didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we have it on Plus Portal, she likes to just
Smart.
leave it private on there, not to put too much public
First
out
time in
there.
4 years, that is music to my ears. Yeah, I try to convince people of that because at my own experience was I had a new president come in and say, I want all of this data on the website. And we did against my will. And the next week we were getting all kinds of anti-Catholic hateful email. And he wanted to know, well, how are people getting this? Because you publicly published it. And now we're getting all kinds of spam because a bot is just scraping all those emails off a page and then sending these horrible, horrible things. So glad to hear that you're kind of behind that too. Like that's what they want, then do it that way. But
Yeah.
if you change your mind, at least with a few select contacts, you can do that here.
Yeah.
Same
Okay.
thing with location. You could do like admissions office could go also into the locations manager. It's sort of like a contact, but more generic. And you can put a phone number and email on a location. And there's also location blocks. Excellent. Let's store. I'll just mention it. You probably don't need it. You have a donate button already that goes to whatever you're using for that, but the store technically is not configured, and that's a separate training if you do decide you want to use it. I mention it because we also offer our own payment gateway that Rediker, your credit card payments from your parents could be taken in and then processed through Rediker. Obviously, I'll just be honest, all vendors take a fee like around the 3% or whatever mark. So obviously there's that too. So we all win, but it can be used for like one-time payments, not recurring. So it's not really great necessarily a fundraising software, but one-time donations. And if you're selling like a school hoodie, an embroidered mask, hopefully COVID's behind us, but it's for that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even like a student-driven fundraiser, like if student council is doing like a buy this or donate to this cause, one-time payments, you set those up as products. So if you decide later you want a training on that,
Okay.
we'll talk to Holly with your account manager, and we could talk about what you might want to use this for and getting it configured.
Okay.
For now, we'll end on Ready Site Advanced will be the last thing we probably have time for, and we're still in under the radar, so that's good. I don't recommend spending a lot of time in here, but I want to just point it out just in case you want to make an adjustment. So if you take a look at all of these goodies, this is like, it made me drool when I looked at it because I was like, wow, this is everything you've ever wanted to control from 1.0 but couldn't.
Right.
For example, if you start with theme style configuration, it's exactly what it says it's going to do. It's where your fonts and colors are sitting. So if your president or principal says, "Hey, that red or that blue, can we change that?" throughout the site? Yes, you can. And as soon as you click on configure, you're going to have the palette where it shows you, here's your brand color 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Me personally, I would suggest you ship in an email to support or even just me and say, hey, this is like, they're thinking about going Dukes of Hazzard orange. And I just, what kind of, can we or should we? Because the thing about the colors you need to think about when you're messing with them is Brian, I know, is very, very fastidious. I think that's the word I want, tenacious, maybe even, about when he will even adjust your colors if need be, because he's looking for things that aren't going to cause contrast issues
Right.
or look overly gaudy like a hot pink. And
Yeah, no.
sometimes I've told people, like, look, we can go change it if you disagree, but we did it for a good reason.
Right.
Same thing with those section headings. If you want to have a different spin on the section headings or a novelty font, which you can also use in the content block, that's also contained there.
Okay.
Click on header configuration, and that's probably, I won't go into all of these, but this is one that comes up the most often. And in 1.0, you couldn't do this. And so
Right.
this support ticket every time. If you scroll down, I want you to look specifically for an area that says utility menu. It'll say utility menu. And as you drive by, just look at all the goodies that are baked in here. Yeah, you control all of this. There's your social link. So if somebody says, we need the YouTube on there too, you can.
Well, we're going through my school YouTube. We have to discuss that to set up just the school page one. So I'll have to create an account for that.
You can even control your main menu color and size. Scroll back up a little bit. Just above that was utility. You see this?
Yeah.
That is the buttons in your header across
Okay.
the top of your menu. You can drag and drop them in whatever order you want.
Gotcha.
You can even, you see the one that is the $sign for the external link? It's the second from the left next to the mobile
Yes,
menu.
I see it.
That goes to whatever outsourced third-party donation system that you're using. So if you scroll down, you'll see the URL that goes to wherever it is you're, just scroll down in there. It's all one kind of menu, like a vertical menu. So just scroll down. Do you see the URL, external URL?
Yes.
That's the donate wherever that button's going. So if somebody says that donate button's going to the wrong thing, we're now using this. You can either send it to us and we'll put it in there, or you can do it yourself.
Okay.
The only rule on this particular one I want you to follow is do not, under any circumstances, change the far right one, which is the mobile menu. This is one where I want to get that locked down so that you won't be tempted to. But the mobile menu shows up when I'm on a cell phone. It gives them the hamburger icon to give them a menu.
Yeah.
I had a school where they had put in 6 admins and somebody keeps changing it. And then they keep opening a support ticket when all they're really doing is somebody keeps going in and changing it to something else. And then they're going, our mobile menu disappeared. Well, that's your mobile menu. If you decide you don't need a mobile menu, by all means, edit that one.
Yeah.
I think even Connor did that to himself at Holy Savior, but then he's like, oh crap, I get why you said that. All right, so that covers all I wanted and more, because you took to this so quickly and you already had logged in. I don't want to blow your brain up with any more, but do you have any questions or needs for me?
I don't think so. I feel it's pretty straightforward.
And speaking,
I'll sit there and play around with it once I meet, because I'm sure my administrators are going to want to go through and, okay, we need to do this, we need to do that, but we do that every year anyway. So, but it's very straightforward. It's a lot easier to work with and to change up, I find. So
excellent. And so what I'll do is, obviously you can send me an email, but there's also on your welcome screen, readysitesupport@redeker.com is our support email for this product. And I don't mind if you CC me on those too.
okay.
This screen is getting cut off, but you get the important part. And that's the email I would suggest you send your questions to.
Okay.
And you can always, again, CC me if you feel it's important enough. mark it urgent all caps in the subject. If it's like site is down, like, that doesn't happen often, but if it does, we want to know. So, mark it, and then we'll get right on top of that. Now, normally we know before you do if there's any sort of service problem. And if we're going to do maintenance, we'll also try to let people know. We have a public status page for all of our products as well. Now, if you walk away, you're at the beach. So hopefully you'll be able to take a break and go stretch and do some other things. But when you do come back to this, are you feeling stressed? Are you feeling like happy, excited? Are you feeling like...
I'm not a very stressed person.
Love it.
I am pretty pumped about it. So I have some other stuff that I have to clean up in other programs, but once I get those off my list, then I'll be able to get started on this. So
Well,
dedicated some days next week. I'm waiting on some things, some files from admin, so I can kind of start working on it. But I am not a last minute person. So the fact that we did this now, I can get it done and hopefully get Holly on board when it's ready to go live. And
well, I know that Vanderbilt is Katie at Vanderbilt. I think we're going live with them on the 16th is the plan. Although I think she was still waiting on Holly to confirm that she could do it on the 16th. But that, I mean, just throwing it out there as a date where we're already doing another one of the HT schools live. If that ends up working, it may just be if it was even convenient for Holly, if we could just piggyback that one.
Right.
You might be able to say, hey, like, I think there's another school going live on the 16th. And if you, after a day or two of reflection on that, if you think that's good, maybe use that day.
Yeah. I mean, I have plenty of time. That's 14 days. So there's not too much I have to go. I have to change the faculty list and some other things. So, but yeah, I mean, I feel like the sooner the better, just so we can get the new information out. But
click through it, like,
and Holly.
Yeah, click through it, and you'll probably find that we did a pretty thorough job. I mean, it may be a little dated because when we copied it, it may be a little dated, but we tried to do a pretty thorough job of making it so that you could practically flip the switch as soon as you wanted. Yeah, sure, there's going to be things you're going to want to update, but in general, you should be able to look at that, and this should just be something that doesn't stress you out while relaxing on the beach. You should be like, dang, the website's basically ready to be flipped and look 1,000 times better than it has.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, you'll get an email from me, if not by the end of today, definitely by first thing, I say Tuesday, because I'll try to get
Monday
you an
is
email.
reserved as the 4th.
Yeah, I'll try to get you an email by the end of the day today, which will contain the link to today's video.
Okay.
I'll also throw in a link to the little notes guide for us, and I'll put a link to that also here.
Okay.
But then from there, you should be able to just kind of comb through it and do your thing.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Hey, yeah, no problem. And enjoy the rest of your time at the beach and holiday weekend. Hopefully it's relaxing. And of all things, this should just be able to melt away and be like, they got me covered. I feel good about this. That's all we need. And you'll be good.
Sounds great. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.